Okay, so we're lesson studying my lesson, which was a grade 9 lesson on inequalities. So this is the outcome, I guess, that we wanted. I'm just going to do a little overview of what the lesson was. We'll use this one. So we basically just went through and started with a little bit of a review from last class on inequalities, comparing different numbers, using them. They'll know how to use number lines. They will know how to define an inequality, and they also know how to solve linear equations, so that helps. Okay, can you scroll for me, since this is awesome? All the way down. Yeah. So I started with a review from last class and a handout, and it had some road signs on it. Then we went in and each kid got a balance, and I used pennies, so they would compare pennies and kind of different numbers. Can I take off how many pennies and the inequality would still be the same, and that kind of thing. We went through that, and then keep going down. Yeah, so then we just did some questions on the board, did a little bit of an exploration, pretty much it. The exploration kind of went into multiplication and division. Hopefully that they figured out that when you divide or multiply by a negative that they have to flip the inequality. Then they would have done homework. I said that there's homework sheets and A to K would do the odds. Elsa said do the evens, and the next day they would come to class and kind of work with someone who did the other questions, so kind of like correct each other's work and help each other out if they needed it. Then there was an exit flip and an extension, and that's about it. Yep, I'm done.
Okay, this is what we first started with the handout, and there was good examples that we could use, but we actually extended it and added a couple more examples. So here, this one, it deals with money, which is something that would likely interest kids more than, speed limit or something, depending on how old they are, or if they drive or not. But money is something that applies to everyday life, so it's easy to understand. And then this one, too, is with business hours, and it makes them think outside because it's not just a single variable, it's double variable, so they have to figure out, like, is it inside those numbers or outside? So it just extends their thinking. And then here we changed this. From before, where it used to be just comparing pennies and pennies, where they're going to be roughly the same weight, so the inequality, like, yeah, if you add one, it's going to be unequal. This way we add a variable if we were comparing pennies with blocks, and that way you have to see, like, does one block equal exactly one penny, or how does that ratio work out? And then if you add 2 pennies, how many blocks do you have to add to get back to that equality? And so again, it just extends their thinking and makes them think outside the box.
Okay, for the development, our number 2 step was to write x plus 4 is greater than 12 on the board, and so we really liked that it was teacher-led. The students would work along with the teacher, and it's all done out loud so that the students can have an understanding of what's going on. And then they go into a think, pair, share strategy where they get a couple questions on their own, and they can do it on their own to begin with, and then they get with a partner and they can help each other out. We decided that the teacher is going to choose partners based on maybe what we know is their skill level, so that maybe a higher end student can help out a weaker student in this process, and they can have the chance to teach, which will enable their learning more. And our last one, we're going to change the homework by reducing the amount of questions. There was a lot of extra questions in there, so they were just doing way extra practice, which they don't really need if they are understanding it. We wanted to increase the number of word problems. They didn't really have too many word problems to do. We really like the idea of the class doing, half the class doing one set of problems, the other half doing the other, and for homework, and then the next day they come in and do their pair share with their answers so they can help correct each other. And that's advancing their learning. We are no longer going to use the exit flip, and we're going to incorporate a math journal with a question. which we have up here, and this question just helps them. They have to figure out their equations, and they have to use their logic and decide which car they're going to use at the bottom. Keep going down. So they've got choices between 3 different cars with different values, plus they want to put in a CD deck for $250. So they have to decide which car they're going to buy, if they're going to buy the one that's all ready to go, or if they're going to buy a cheaper one that has some problems, and then they have to explain why. So it just adds the explanation of what they're doing. And that's our new lesson.